Judgment, one of the biggest fears of anyone going on an adventure. In fact, a fear that often makes fear of failure, or any other fear about the adventure itself, pale into insignificance. We're going to chat about what fear of judgment really is, and how to deal with it before you go on an adventure. We've all been there. You have an idea for an adventure, it's starting to get really exciting, it might actually happen, and you are bursting to tell someone. But there's one thing stopping you: fear of judgment. What might they say? What are they going to think of you for wanting to do this adventure? This fear comes from two main places. Either you've never done something like this before and you've got no idea what people are going to say, or you've tried to tell someone an idea like this before and they have squashed it flat. It might not even be the same person you're telling again, but you're afraid that everyone's going to behave in the same way. Both you and your adventure will be rejected. So my first suggestion to you in either case is to just try and tell someone about your adventure. Try and pitch it to them in a way that they're least likely to throw up objections. You can always try backpedal and say it's only an idea if things start to go sour. But chances are they might be more encouraging than you think. Tips to deal with fear of judgment. These tips are for dealing with pre-adventure objections. Typically, fear of judgment comes into adventure when the adventurer announces their plans. They've stuck their neck out and semi-committed. This leaves them vulnerable to all sorts of comments, cautions, objections, and judgments from people whose opinions they value. Here are my top 5 tips for dealing with these situations. Tip number 1, remember that they aren't your fears. One of the things I hate most about announcing adventures is the tirade of can'ts and cautions that come back again. For example, when I had a small article in the local paper about my expedition across Dartmoor, loads of people expressed concerns for my safety. Actually, most of these people chose to express their concerns to my mother. One went so far as to suggest that I take a long knife against intruders in the night. Remember that most people's judgments of your adventure are actually their own fears. No one was thinking about me as a competent walker with years of experience on Dartmoor, nor considering that I'm in Dartmoor Rescue, have an ML, and am pretty decent at navigation. Instead, they were all imagining themselves, or a young female version of themselves, in the same situation. I had no reason to share their fears. Does this look weird? With my feet? Guess we're about to find out. Brace yourself for a pushback. Negative comments about your adventure are almost inevitable. Part of this is a protection thing. As we've established above, people are scared for you and will try to stop you from even starting. Humans are naturally wary of change, particularly those who are really deep in their normality hole. This pushback, believe it or not, is them actually showing that they care for you. When I first told my friend about my plan to do all the tours on Dartmoor in one go, her response was basically along the lines of, "You can't do that, you'll die." I lost count of the number of times that someone told me I couldn't carry all my food for 10 days. But deep down, I thought that I could, so I would just politely say, "Well, I'm gonna give it a try and see if it all fits." And funnily enough it did, and I did carry it for 10 days. If you can detach yourself emotionally from people's reactions to your adventure, you can kind of use it as a gauge of the level of what you're trying to do. For example, I did an interview with Alex Staniforth. I'm sorry if I just murdered your name, Alex. I did an interview with him, I will link it, where he says that he uses his mum's reactions to what his adventure is as a way to gauge whether they're challenging enough. And that's it for this bit. Do. Wait until the last second to tell them. There are some people in your life who you would love to tell your adventures about. You really want them to be as excited about it as you are. Unfortunately, some of them just won't. The more you do adventures, the more you're going to realise that some of your close friends and family just won't get what you're doing. In this case, I'd recommend thinking about and answering most of their objections before you actually tell them, so that you come across as a lot more prepared. This can be quite hard sometimes, but it's often better for everyone's happiness. You don't spend any time battering away their objections, and they don't spend any time worrying about you. If you need to tell someone immediately, go find some friends who think adventure is normal or will just be really encouraging whatever you say. For some people, this will be friends in real life, and for others, it will be online groups of like-minded people. Remember, it's not personal. It's not personal. Remember that a person being negative about your adventure doesn't mean that they don't like you. As we've discussed, it's not about you, it's about their fears being projected onto you. Who knows, maybe you doing it anyway will help them overcome their own fears. We have friends from all manner of places. Some of them will get your adventuring, and some of them just won't, and that's okay. It's healthy to have lots of different types of friends. And if they're gonna break friendship with you over you doing something that you enjoy, maybe they're not such a good friend after all. Number 5. Do more adventures. The first adventure announcement is usually the hardest, particularly if it's something new for you and is very different from your normality. But the more you successfully do adventures, the more people are going to associate you with adventure. It's just who you are. I've found that I've gone from being scared to tell people about what adventures I'm doing to people actively coming up to me and saying, "What am I doing next?" If adventure is who you are, then remember to be yourself, and with time people will come to accept that that's part of your identity. Okay, now I've got to go get home. Well guys, thanks for watching. Please do like if you liked it, and subscribe if you'd like to see some videos hopefully coming up soon of my recent cycle tour down the Rhine. And yeah, until next time, keep having some awesome adventures of your own, and I'll see you then. Bye!